Welcome back to JML Studios. I'm Joshua Lutz. Today I want to talk about Eurorack, modular equipment. And if you're a musician or an artist or a producer and you've always wanted to dabble or stick your toe in to Eurorack equipment, I just want to explain to you how simple it actually is. And there's a lot of convoluted videos out there trying to give you a little introduction to this format, but I haven't seen one that I like, and that's the one I want to make today, which is I'm an artist, you're an artist, maybe you're a keys guy, and you're like, how do I step into this without melting my brain into a puddle of cerebral goo? Well, this is a great video for you then. You should stick around and watch it. So this particular Eurorack system is a very unique and intuitive Eurorack rig. I am not a noise artist, so the typical randomizing rigs always turned me off to modular until a few years back when I saw a video of a killer pianist integrating modular into his rig. I'm a conservatory graduated multi-instrumentalist, so I sought out to build a practical super synth, and it can be played like a modern synth. So some of these modules are discontinued. The Go Key case, this folding Go Key case, is absolutely gorgeous, highly sought after, also discontinued. So let's talk about what units I have here. This is 432 HP, and just to give you a rough estimate, this amount of gear right here cost you about $8,000. Don't balk at that. A lot of this is discontinued. This piece alone right here is like $550 or something. This is actually my favorite piece of gear, so let's start with it, the Poly HECTOR. You can drag a convolution reverb with your finger here, select it, drag it from input to output, and then literally patch it from here to here. These are inputs and outputs, these two rows. So you have studio grade, time-based, effect-based, dynamics processing, effects, all types. Inside of this box you have all types of effects. You've got about 80 modules in here. You've got choruses and delays, BBD delays, pretty much anything you can think of is already in this box, so that's pretty fancy. And these are studio quality effects. If you talk to someone with an EE degree, they will tell you the power supply of any keyboard makes a difference in the way that it sounds. The more robust the power supply, usually the better output the keyboard has. And these have two tip-top power supplies, which are fantastic, and they are capable of powering all of this equipment, but it's still a low voltage, it's a low rail, so that's something to consider when you're thinking about Eurorack. So how does Eurorack work? Well, if you've seen like the Moog Grandmother and some of these semi-modular units, you know that it basically starts with an oscillator or two, oscillator into a filter, into an envelope, into a delay, into a whole number of things. Each one of these little pieces of gear does something different. It's kind of like a guitar, it's essentially a guitar pedal rig, except you're manipulating a signal with voltage, control voltage, CV. And what happens is you're sending that voltage wherever you want. None of these modules are connected to each other underneath except by 12 volts of supplied power from the power supply. You're essentially just plugging and patching each piece into each other and experimenting. One important thing to note is you cannot hurt modular equipment by patching it incorrectly, and everything can affect everything else, and that's the beauty of modular Eurorack equipment. So when I set out to build my modular rig, I was very conscious that I don't want any of the rigs I've seen on YouTube, which are all randomizing tones and timbres. That doesn't appeal to me as an artist or as a producer. I want something that can be played like an instrument, but can also create unique and new sounds. If you've ever seen the Korg microbits or whatever those are called, they're like magnetic pieces you can snap together, and it helps train people and teach people about signal flow within synthesis. This is kind of like that. I put it together very simply, like we started with oscillators, we go into filters, we go into envelopes, we go into effects, we have modulation equipment that changes and manipulates the signal, and then we send it out of a VCA, and you can go straight into your DAW, you can go straight into a preamp. So what I have here is 432 HP. HP is the width of each unit. It's how much rack space it actually takes. In a 19-inch rack we use the letter U, like 1U, 2U, 3U. We use HP with modular equipment. So each row across is actually 108 HP. The power supplies I use, I have two tip-top Zeus DC800 power supplies, which supply enough power. So let's talk about these modules. Let's just run them down real quick, what we're going to be talking about today. The Squarp Hermond modular brain. This is the brain of the rig, and it's the most intuitive sequencer I've ever used, and it has MIDI effects too. The Make Noise DPO, it's arguably the best dual oscillator ever made, tons of features, easy to use, and most importantly, it sounds incredible. The Doepfer LFO model A1451, one of the best LFOs ever made, low frequency oscillator, by the man who basically invented modular stuff. The Expert Sleepers Disting. This is a mind-blowing array of dozens of modulation and unique effects, truly ahead of its time. I think they have like 3 versions of it out. I don't recommend the first version. Anything past the first version has this beautiful LED or LCD, whatever you call it, LED display. The Expert Sleepers Persephone is a module that was the end of a long journey to find a VCA that doesn't pop or click when you play a note. As a studio guy, I'm baffled that the entire modular world thinks popping VCAs are acceptable. The HECTOR, I mean, look it up. It's Bricasti level effects to make your whole rig sound like a record. Not to mention EQ, compression, virtual modules, and more with a touchscreen interface. It's my secret weapon. The Synthesis Technologies Morphing Terrarium E350. It's a wavetable VCO with multiple inputs. The sounds you get when you pump signal into the pingable envelope generator to this are otherworldly. Korgasmatron 2, it's the one and only dual VCF remake of the Japanese Korg MS-20, arguably the greatest synth that Korg ever made. This is the Mark II. The IntelliGel Korgasmatron Expander, this gives you low-pass, bandpass, and high-pass control, as well as an aux in and a QCV control for your Korgasmatron. The 4MS VCA Matrix. I think this is the best VCA output you can get. For me, it's super intuitive. Personally, it gives you unique independent volume control over each output with mutes for every channel. That's pretty cool. And it has a separate volume control for every channel too. The 4MS Pingable Envelope Generator. This is the module that became my secret sauce. Look it up. You know, I don't tell everyone about this when they come into the studio, but this thing is freaking incredible. The 4MS Shuffle Clock Multiplier. I just installed it. I'm still messing with it. It randomizes your signal. It creates happy accidents if you want to go down that beep bop boop bop road. The waveform oscilloscope, it's like a third of the price of every oscilloscope out there because it's DIY. Definitely get it. You can see what's going on if you need a reliable oscilloscope. The Strymon AA.1. This is the most high quality guitar pedal interface ever. Modular level is way different than your levels that you're used to in your studio. So if you want to interface this thing with guitar pedals, it's stereo, comes out 18 dB hotter for guitar level and comes down to modular level, 18 dB and back out again. Very handy for you pedal tinkerers. Active MULTS, because every rig needs one. A non-linear circuit mixer module, great little supplementary 3-channel mixer with headphone input. Mutable instruments plates. Okay, I recently heard another modular guru say if you have just one module to give you incredible sounds, it's gotta be the plates. The Qubits chords, it creates lush chords and harmonies with this incredible module. Even though it has a big footprint, I can't live without it. The Qubits NEBULAE. This is the latest version. This thing's about 500 bucks and it's worth every penny. You can use this little USB stick to upload samples and loops and stuff. It does granular sequencing. It's really high-end, it's flagship, you know, their flagship model. If you've ever seen the Tasty Chips GR1 granular synth, which I also have, this thing is incredible. The ADSR module with gate, DIY, super cool ADSR module. The Acid Rain Chainsaw, this is a killer synth generator sound source. Another secret weapon of mine. If you're looking for a chain, like a saw wave synth generator, this thing is top of the line. It has really cool push button effects too. The Delptronics Blackfly, it allows you to play the whole rig with whacking it with a stick or a fork. Anything you can whack with springs, you know, just watch it on YouTube. Look up videos of what people have done with it. It's incredible. It is a secret weapon of sound designers everywhere. The Moog Mothership Analog Synth, it's a killer onboard sequencer that has a bajillion uses. The Mutable Instrument BRAIDS. This is another incredible voltage-controlled digital unique sound source. It features 45 waveform synthesis modules which cover techniques such as FM wavetable synthesis, waveguide synthesis, or analog emulation. The Mutable Instruments Clouds, it's an industry standard if there ever was one. The Clouds is a granular audio processor that creates beautiful textures and soundscapes all within this one module. I've also, I have the white panel and the black panel. It's fun to it's a DIY thing too. Ever since Mutable Instruments went public, Everybody DIY hacked the crap out of these and put them out of business. It's a lesson for you, all you entrepreneurs out there. Technologic Menagerie. This is a totally unique light sensing voltage controller with a built-in dimmable LED panel that creates a mysterious light show in your case. And they say it beckons you to experiment with a myriad of possibilities, harnessing wild waveforms and light waves, putting them on display. Really, it's just got dozens of ways for you to play your modular SKIFF. Another thing I like to do is I put a cable tree on the side of my rig so I can access all my little cables. And I like to keep these things around. This is a MULT. You can plug something into it and then get 6 different outputs, rather 5. It's a 6 input output MULT. These are all inputs and outputs. I highly recommend jumping on eBay and buying a whole bunch of these things. And there you have it. That is my modular rig. This box is called a SKIFF. A SKIFF is whatever you put your modules inside. It can be an old hollowed out briefcase that you put frame rails and a power supply in. It could be a wooden box you built. I highly recommend DIY. This one's made by Goki. And let's jump right into it. Now that I've rambled on about each piece, I want to show you how to use this unit. Alright, so the first place we invariably have to start is with the HERMOD. This is the modular brain. It's made by Squarp Instruments. It has CV out, but gate is super important because watch this. If I send my output out without a gate, that's what we get. So that needs to be gated. So all of my instruments have a gate out from here, from the brain, into the module. And that way, when I'm not pressing a key, it's gated. That means the oscillator may be sending an oscillated signal out, which it is, but you're not hearing it because it is gated. Let's turn all the oscillators on. We have the chainsaw here, which is not really in the shot. And we have the DPO, and we have the morphing terrarium. These 3 together sound like this. I have a cool sound I'm really happy with. Watch this. We can take that output, we can put it into the input of the poly up here. I'll show you my favorite, BYO, bring your own chorus, bring your own vibe, yeah. It's a little goofy, so let's slow down the tempo of the modulation. So I just want to show you what the braids can do. Listen to all the algorithms this thing has. I mean, just tons and tons of effects. Oh, look at that kick. And you can tune this. Fine tune it. Cymbal. Snare, which of course you can tune. Ooh, that's gorgeous. Okay, now I want to show you the clouds. This is just a killer piece of equipment, so. Sound. Big shout out to Perfect Circuits, as well as Main Drag and Make Noise Audio, and also big shout out to one of the Sickest guy's doing it. Hans Vault, right out of northern New Jersey. Check out his Instagram at Hans Vault. And check out my Instagram at JML Recording Studios. So that's it. I'm Joshua Lutz. I want to thank you for visiting JML Recording. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell notification up there so when I make these videos you are notified. I know it's just a tiny little taste of Eurorack, just to dip your toes in the water and see what's out there. If there's any of these modular units that you'd like to see me take an in-depth review of, tutorials, just let me know. I just wanted to throw this out there and see what the world thinks. Hope you all enjoyed it. God bless.